Alrighty, so this is day 17, and this is the 17th piece of advice that I would give to my childhood self. And I was kind of going with the theme of relationship that you have with yourself, and then it goes relationships, kind of like your own little bubble. And then it goes, the second one was relationships with other people, in your bubble, or just outside of your personal physical bubble. And then I was going to talk about some more things on that, but I'm not really having much inspiration on that front today, but I'm sure there might be more that come up, and if they do, I'm going to jump back here to relationships with other people, but for now I'm just going to cap it at the two. And I'm sure that there's more. But basically what I kind of was going beyond that was relationship with yourself, relationship with other people, and then relationship that you have with things bigger than yourself, bigger than the relationships that you have, something, just something bigger. And you might be jumping to something maybe spiritual, but that's not necessarily what I mean, but you can totally take it that way if that's your thing. But what I kind of am speaking to is things that are they are related to us, and they are related to people around us, but it isn't just about us. It's bigger than that. It's more global than just you and I, or the relationships that we could have, or the relationships I have with people around me. There's a whole bunch of them. This is actually, I think it goes like relationships with yourself, relationships with other people, and then big mega. It's like a weird sandwich with lots of bun. Weird metaphors happening today. It's just happening. Anyway, the first one that we're going to talk about in this second half, or this next bigger picture, is talking about goal setting. The 17th piece of advice that I would give to my childhood self is set goals and follow them. Like, find things to work toward and break it down into measurable, achievable steps, basically. I am still getting this one. I'm still going. And I think the reason that I am still not, I've only just begun to understand the concepts of genuine goal setting. I think before it was this idea of, okay, I'm gonna, get this big, mega, giant goal, and it's just so out of whatever, it's this thing. And then what I would do is I'd sit down and I'd map out every single step to get to that goal. And then I would break that down into, okay, what am I going to do today, tomorrow? And it would almost be like the fun was almost taken out of it, because I had planned everything. Like, everything that I could have possibly done was planned for and accounted for, and it didn't leave any room for spontaneity. It didn't leave any room for opportunity, things coming in from outside that I wasn't expecting. And so what I'm now looking at in terms of goals is having a directionality, but also an intention. Directionality and intention, but shifting the way that I need it to happen, if that makes sense. And so that's not to say like I'm going to sit there and kind of the secret way of just going like, I'm going to get this dropped into my lap. That's not quite what I mean. But I think where I've done the like strive and the hard and the set the goals and the follow the map, and it's hard. It's like I'm trying to like push something that should come more easily. And then there's been other times where I'm like, I'm gonna get to Canada, or like, I like as a kid wanted to work as a ski instructor. I for the last 4 years worked as a ski instructor, but it wasn't like I mapped out a whole big plan how to get there. It just sequence of events kind of led me, and when the opportunity arose, I jumped at it. And of course I still had to in the process be working toward the thing that would allow me to do that. So I had to go get my certifications and get certified and be practicing my skiing, making sure that I was up on the knowledge, and so that when the opportunity presented itself, I was ready to go. but rather than like mapping out my entire life down to the T, because that was going to set me up to be a ski instructor. Like there was so many tosses and turns, and there's been times where I've set myself on a particular goal, and then there was lots of curves, and I was like, no, like we're going this way. Like, didn't you know this is the plan? And I've realized that having this like really hard and fast plan actually closes you off to these amazing opportunities. Kind of the best way to describe it would be like if you're going on a road trip and you are sitting there going like, oh, we've got to get to that place, and your entire direction is like there. You've missed the food stall over there and that little cute little cafe over there, which would have been amazing to stop at, and you would have met that guy, and that person was going to be your new best friend for life. And then you've kept going, and then on the way you've seen this beach and it's beautiful, so you decide to go in and go for a swim, and you're still getting to the same place, but you have a totally different experience. So basically with these goals, I think what I wish that I had learned earlier was that goal setting isn't necessarily about, you know, I guess the way that I was kind of taught goal setting as a kid was like, you know, you got to get your project done, and so that's the goal, and so then you've got to break it down into like weekly chunks and but realistically I didn't do that. I did it at the last minute always. I shoved it in, and I got this in, like, I look back at it now and it's funny because at the time this whole like cramming and whatever, which I'm not advocating for, of course, but what I look back and what was at the time very stressful, and like I felt it wasn't even that it was that stressful, like that was one part of it. But it was the idea that it was shameful because I wasn't doing it the right way. I wasn't getting the assignment done in the proper way. And you know what, maybe there were some assignments that, yeah, probably could have done with a second or third draft. But the funny part is like, in reality, when do you ever, like, you meet a deadline and then someone sees it and then that's like the end? Do you know, like, it's usually a discourse of, here's my first attempt, and it's like, oh, okay, let's have a communication about your first attempt, and then here, have it back, do it again, and like make it better. And that's the real world. But in school, we're teaching kids to, hey, here's your final assessment. If you don't get it right the first time, that's your only chance. And I find it really challenging, that system, because it's just not my experience of the real world. And so anyway, I think because of that experience, maybe because of a few other things, I developed this mentality that I needed to, you know, like time frame was like the essence of humanity. Like it was so important. Like if you did not meet a time frame, it was the end of the world. But I look back now and it's almost like those spurts of doing those assignments were like spurts of creativity. It was when I was inspired to do the actual work, when I actually wanted to, well, no, I don't know if that's always true. Sometimes it was, I have left it to literally midnight the night before, gotta get it done. Don't do that. But that was just really a reflection of, I didn't want to be doing it, and that wasn't in my calling. It didn't feel important to me. It didn't light me up. It didn't bring joy to me, so I didn't want to do it. Being able to set goals toward things in your own time can be also really true. And I think the most important part that I've taken away from setting goals intentionally with success is in ways that, like I've said before, it's allowing room for growth. It's allowing room for change, especially if it's a long-term goal. And I think that's going to be a whole nother thing. But I think there is this need to get there now, like finish now and blah, blah, blah. But like everyone's looking for the next quick money and the quick this and the get rich fast and the get slim fast, and everything's fast in this day and age. But really anything of worth takes time. And if not time, if you're not measuring by time, it at least is measured through energy and effort, like so like the thing that comes to mind is, like, obviously I've mentioned this before, I think I've mentioned Tony before, but Tony Robbins, he talked about how when he was younger, he took a lot of mentorship with people who were 20 years his senior. And the reason he did that was to gain knowledge faster and to speed up his life experiences, so he could take on the life experience of someone who was 20 years older than him and learn from their mistakes and almost take on those mistakes as his own, so that he could reflect on them and do it differently and do it quicker and make those mistakes earlier, so that he could then move to the next thing. And so he also like was talking to, he talked one time about how like most people who speak in front of audience, I guess, like who are speakers, do maybe like once or twice a month. He was doing 2 or 3 times a month. He was doing 2 or 3 a week. And so just by pure experience, by putting himself out there and go and learning so much in such a condensed amount of time. So really it's not time as like a, how many years does it take? It's like, how much do you want to condense into how much time you have available to you? So, okay, let's talk maybe an example. We want to be able to enjoy the process. I think goal setting, enjoy the process. Have a goal that's exciting to you. That's really important. I think sometimes we choose goals that we think we should do. So like, oh, I should lose weight, or I should do this. I should be earning this much income, but it's not exciting to you to do that. And so it's like, there is not an incentive for you to be waking up at 5 a.m. to do that. It's like, I should. It's like, for me, I really want to be investing into a meditation practice. That's something that's been calling to me for a while. But it's been a should for a very long time. And so even though I've known the benefits of meditation, I've gone into it here and there, and I've practiced different ways and different methods in different time frames. I've never truly committed to a daily practice because it never really was something coming from me. It was something I should do because it's good for me. In the same way I can't really be inspired to go to a gym. It's just not what calls to me. I don't feel enjoyment out of running on a treadmill, and I know that some people do, and I love that those people find enjoyment. I get my enjoyment from sports that are just moving my body via doing that sport. Like, I don't have to think about the fact that I'm exercising. I'm just moving because it's fun, and I just happen to be moving my body at the same time. So I'm getting my exercise in those ways. But yeah, so goals, it has to be something exciting to you, and yeah, just setting it out and breaking it down, but not in a way that cuts you off from possibility. One example, what am I working on at the moment? I guess these videos kind of counts. This has been a goal, getting these 30 videos done. Let's go with this. It's relevant. So I set myself 30 videos, 30 days. And I have every day recorded a video. Sometimes I've done 2 in one day because I had, for example, my Christmas party and I had something going on. Or I just had a day where I was feeling a little bit off my game. And I was like, you know what? For example, uploading. So I might be recording the video, but then that's all the energy I have for that day, and I may have something else I need to do that's more important. I might have a dinner with a friend or something, I don't know, or I'm just falling asleep on the couch because I'm just exhausted. But basically what I'm getting to is, it was my goal to get these 30 videos, 30 days. So for 30 days, I had to record these videos. I didn't kind of say every night they have to be uploaded and at this time and this time. So when I wake up, I have to do a video, and then when I get home, I have to edit the video, and then between this time and this time, I have to upload the video, and then it just kind of cuts me off, and it becomes more work than enjoyment. And I'm really just disconnecting from the joy of the whole idea of what this was meant to be. This goal of doing something that's been really calling to me for a really long time. A question that has been like kind of sitting in my mind, and I keep asking people about it, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna ask myself and really just get down into the depth of what I really believe, because as we said, other people's opinion don't really matter. So I'm interested in what my opinion is and what's going on in my head. And one of the ways that I communicate is verbally. I'm always having to write things down to sort out my head. I can't often hear my thoughts by themselves and be like, that's what I meant. I often have to talk it out or write it out. And then I'm like, that makes more sense. And so part of this process is just for me. And so the goal of doing this was super exciting, because I thought that maybe at the end I would learn something about myself, and maybe I would come up at the end with 30 things that I could set an intention for the next new year to focus on, and break that down into the year. And then that would give me some more incentive, give me some more directionality, some more intentionality that I could direct myself toward and set some more goals. But again, if I had been so stuck in I have to get this video and do this and this and this, and if it doesn't happen, it's the end. And I think that's where we really need to be careful in terms of goal setting. It's really easy to be all or nothing. It's like, I've set my goal and it's gone wrong. And then be like, okay, I give up. If I had the amount of times that I've recorded videos but not uploaded them, been like, the project's done, didn't do it, oopsie. I know, but I've never had that thought in this process, because this was a goal that excited me. I wanted to do the videos. It wasn't something I had to do. And so I think we are more easily deterred by things that aren't in our highest excitement, that aren't in our highest calling. So I think that what you're heading toward is important, and then also not cutting yourself off. If I had said, between this time and this time I have to do this every day for 30 days, I would be when I was at my family Christmas, I would have missed out on I had a really fun afternoon hanging out with my younger cousins, and that was my highest excitement that day. That was so much fun, and I will remember that day forever, probably with them. And just each different thing that's come up, and I maybe needed more rest on that day, and that has allowed me to better show up in my work or for the next video, or has shown me kindness and showed myself something, or I've created a space for myself to learn something new to bring to this video, or just in a different area of my life. Anyway, so I think that's my example, and this is probably going to be the longest one because it's rambly and it feels really big. Maybe I should have been goal part 1, goal part 2. Nope, just kidding. It's a half an hour long one. I'm still talking. I'm gonna stop. So yeah, goal setting. We should do the things of the setting of the goals. And what does that look like in my daily practice? Well, I mean, I'm still adopting different strategies, but I've heard of one really recently by Rachel Hollis. She talks about every quarter she sets goals per quarter. So four times a year she sits down and makes the next quarter, 3 months, goal setting. It's what do I want to get done in the next 3 months? And then that is also broken down by month. It's what do I want to get done in the next month? I've implemented both of those, and they're kind of working for me. And then I guess the next level that would be something I would integrate is, how do you break that down by week? What does a week look like? For example, if you wanted to write a book, yeah, okay, that's awesome. How do you break that down per quarterly goals? What does that look like per quarter? Are you doing a draft in a quarter? Are you brainstorming? Are you storyboarding for a quarter? And then in per month, it's how much time are you dedicating per week? And it's okay, you're not going to cut yourself off to be between this hour and this hour, every blah, I have to do this. And maybe that works for you. Maybe that's good for you. But for me, it's okay, I'm going to get my 3 hours in. Maybe Friday night, or I don't know, a Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday afternoon, maybe my story thing, but hey, a friend's come into town, and then all of a sudden this is my only opportunity to see them. It's I'm going to move that around and be flexible, and hey, someone else is, I don't know. Do you know, we're not cutting ourselves from other opportunities because we're so focused in on the details of how it should happen, as opposed to, I'm excited about writing, and every week I'm going to write. And it's more of a process of reminding yourself of what you're excited about. And I think it's so easy when you're in the humdrum of daily life to forget what excites you. forget what is most in your highest calling, which lights you up. It's so easy to fall into the humdrum of everyday life. And I think just goal setting is just a way to keep you chipping away at the thing that is important to you, that is bigger than you, than just you. And you know, maybe it is just like about something that is related to your, maybe it's your relationships and you want to improve those. But I think goal setting can be, it can start with you. It can start with your fitness and your diet and your blah, but then it could also go to other people and your relationships that you have with people and the way that you operate in your work life and your family life and your home life, and that can also be helpful there. But it can also be the way that you want to set goals. It can be huge. It's like, how do you want to be in contribution to the planet? Like, how do you want to be showing up in the world as a human? How do you want to be making a difference? How do you want to be being you in a way that is serving something bigger than just this little bubble of this tiny part of the world we live in. Yeah, so that's goal setting. That was a big one. But I just could talk for hours on this one. Hours and hours and hours. That's something. I think there's something in that. Maybe we're going to do something on goal setting next year. Who knows? But for today, I think, and just with kids, with kids, I haven't even talked about that yet. With kids, I would just say, just getting them to practice that process. And like, I mean, obviously, younger kids, I don't know, just maybe you're going to set a goal of like, if they're getting pocket money, it's like, okay, rather than just like getting the pocket money to get more pocket money, it's like, okay, so you're gonna do chores or whatever, and then I'm gonna give you pocket money. But what are you working toward? Like, what is the reason for that money? Is some of it's gonna go into a savings account because longer term you want X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's a shorter term focus of there's a board game or a toy or something that they're super excited about, and teaching them the value of working toward a goal of maybe they have to do more jobs to get more money, and that's going to allow them to get to their goal faster. And obviously, like, if money is not an option in terms of pocket money, if you're a teacher, obviously, so that's different. Getting them to, setting goals in terms of your classroom, like what kinds of things you're working on. I would love, actually, if you have this as something that you do and you do teach goal setting in a way that is really productive, I would love to hear about it, because that is something I really wish that I had learned as a kid, and I would love to see if there are people who are out there doing it, what that looks like. So this is number 17, goal setting. Have a good day. I am not going to talk anymore because I've talked enough. So have an amazing day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.